I already explained in theory what is Node.js, and in this video I'm going to teach you guys a rough concept on how Node.js and NPM work in general. So when you are building a web application in any programming language, you have two choices. It's either to build the entire web application from scratch without depending on any libraries, open source libraries or packages, or you could build a web app that depends on all these open source libraries. So it is important to understand how things work actually. For example, if you build a certain features like authentication from scratch, you will learn how things work in general. But if you want to ship your product really fast, meaning if you want to kind of like publish your web application to the public as soon as possible, then I advise you guys to use an existing open source libraries out there. That would definitely shorten your development time. And personally, I use open source libraries all the time, so it's fine. And the reason why, because so that I could ship my product to the world fast, technically. So without wasting time, let's go ahead and create a new project. All right. So go to your terminal and go to your favorite directory. Mine will be desktop. And you're gonna create a new project. That's just safe. Just make directory basic node. So what make directory does is that it creates a new folder on the current directory, and that's it. So it will create a basic node on desktop. So once created, you wanna cd to that folder. Cd is just change directory to that folder. So you are going into that folder, and if you ls, there's nothing inside. You are currently in basic node. So we're gonna initialize something, which is a package.json to the current directory, so that you can, the reason why is so that you can install many libraries or packages to your Node.js application. So npm init, it will give like a bunch of instructions like the name of the app. If you click enter, you cannot, because your name cannot contain any capital letters. All right, so we're gonna change it to basic node and enter, and the enter point will be server.js. And enter, yes. So the enter point will be the file that will run your entire application. And I'm going to teach you roughly a concept of how to build, roughly a concept of when you build a web application. So let's go to Keynote for a bit and let's go and click play. So let's go to the next slide. So in this figure, whenever you run a server without any packages installed, it's like this player, which is this character, that is still level 1. The kid in the figure is like someone that has no superpower or skills. And in order for this kid to perform many superpowers, like many skills and so on, we have to teach him a new skill or install a new library, to be more specific. So let's say we decided to teach this kid a new package called Express. Currently this kid is like our project just now. It's like nothing, couldn't do anything. So let's say again we decided to install a new package called Express to this kid, but rather the great Inertian, because now he knows how to perform a basic HTTP methods like get, put, post and delete. But it is not enough to let the great Inertian to enter the battle, because he hasn't learned how to store data to the database, making real-time process, and of course doing some authentication features like sign up and login. But let's say he already learned all those skills. Now he's ready to fight in a battle, because he is now the one and only son of Odin, the mighty Thor. So technically, whenever you want your application to do more stuff, you could always install a library like MongoDB, which is Mongoose, a real-time package called Socket.io, authentication feature called Passport. And by having all these packages, it makes your application much more powerful than before. As always, of course, you could build all of these libraries from scratch, but it is not advisable in the development world to reinvent the wheel. So let's move on back to our project. Let's go back to our Tom, and let me drag this. All right, now it's working. So now let's go ahead and create server.js. server.js. So this is the file where your main application will run. So before that, we have to install the package that we need, which is, for the time being, only Express. So let's go back to terminal and do npm install express --save. --save will save the package that you want to install only to this project folder. And as you can see, there is node_modules, which is a folder that a package that just installed, meaning Express is actually under this folder. And if you go to package.json, you can see that we are depending on Express right now. And now our application is no longer the kit, but rather the grade and Narcion. So let's go ahead and write some codes. Let's go to server.js. And in order for us to use Express, we have to require a library. So type in Express, require Express. And we need to instantiate an Express object. So you're going to type in var app equals to Express. So once created, we have to bind it to a port, which will be on localhost. Since we are doing a local development, it will be on localhost. And the port number, it could be any number. So we're gonna put app.listen. We're gonna listen to a port, which is 3000, and then we're gonna pass in a anonymous function or a callback function, and we're gonna pass in a parameter with a parameter of area. So let's say if there's an area, you're gonna type in console log, and then else there's no area, meaning the app is actually running. So we're gonna console log running on port 3000. Alright, now let's go ahead and run this application. By default, if you want to run this application, you can use the command node and then server, which is the file that you want to run. Then you're gonna click enter. Now it is running on port 3000, but we have some problem. Let's say you want to make some changes to the file. It will be inefficient to stop and start the server over and over again. Luckily, we can teach Node to restart the server by itself, and that is using a new package called nodeman. Let me show you something. Let's say you change this to 6000, and you change this to 6000, and if you save the file, it won't actually restart the server. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cancel the server, and we're gonna install the package, which is nodeman -g, because this time we won't install it to the project folder, but rather we will install it globally. So we're gonna add an extra command, which is -g, and it stands for global. So before you click enter, let's say if I click enter, let's say if I press enter, you see there's going to be a problem. Alright, the reason why, because we have to run, whenever you want to install a package globally, you have to add sudo, or you have to run it as an administrator. So you can add sudo for Mac and Linux, and for Windows you can right click on your Windows shell or command prompt, right click, run as administrator. So for now, sudo npm install nodeman -g, and then you're gonna type in your password. So now it has installed. So for example, if you go back here and if you change this one to 8000 and 8000, for example, and you save the file, it would automatically, let me run the server first. You're gonna run the server as nodeman, not node, but nodeman. So let's say you change this to 9000, and you change this to 9000 as well, and you save the file, and if you go to terminal, it automatically restart the server. Now there's nothing fancy regarding a web application just yet, because we haven't used the package that we just installed to its full potential. So let's create what every web application needs, which is URL. We need a bunch of URLs for our web application to be a web application in the first place. So let's go back to our atom and let's type in app.get, and I'm gonna pass in the URL. Let's say it's going to be a home route. I'm gonna pass in that, and then I'm gonna pass in the anonymous or a callback function with a parameter of request response and a callback. And we're just gonna console log some sort of string, a string or something, and then we're gonna install it, and it will start the server again. And let's say you go to your trusty web browser and you type in localhost, and the port has to be the same as you put in here, which is 9000, and you go back and you type in 9000. So if you go to your localhost, currently it won't show anything because we technically just console log to the server. But if you go to your terminal, you can see homepage. And what the code does is basically it is doing a get request to the server. That's it. In better example, whenever a user requests this URL, which is this one, it is then will tell the server that a user just requested this URL. Then the server will respond with something. In our case, it will just log homepage to the terminal. But what if we want to respond something to the user, like a web page or a JSON data? So let's respond with the data for clarification. So let's replace this line and let's respond, which is res.json, and then we're gonna type in homepage, and we're gonna save this. Just want to let you guys know that REQ and RES are technically just request and response. We just make it shorter. So again, whenever someone come to this URL, it will then respond with the data that says homepage. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's go to our Google Chrome, and it actually changed it by itself. So let's go back here. So let's type in localhost 9000. And it shows homepage. Now it is showing perfectly. So let's create another URL. So let's go to atom and let's go ahead and type in get, and then we're gonna give it name catfish just for fun. Just want to test something. And then I'm gonna pass in the callback with the parameter of request response and callback. So we're gonna respond back to the user some sort of data which will be catfish. So save it and then go back to your web browser, and you're gonna pass in catfish over here, and you can click enter, and it responds back with catfish as the data. So it is entirely up to you what sort of algorithm you want to create for each URL. Like under this, you can do whatever you want. You can do if-else statement, anything you want, any algorithms that you could think of. So some URL may need fancy algorithms, maybe some calculation or something. Some will just respond with something static like a home page, and so on. So let's go ahead and try and actually create a new URL. This time it's going to be a dynamic URL. So app.get, again we are getting something from the server. So we're gonna pass in _name, and then function request response next. And then we're gonna respond with request name. So this column name is a placeholder. For example, if you type in localhost, let's go here, and let's say if you type in Joker, it will respond back with the Joker. Whatever you type in here, it will actually automatically will respond back to here. So let's go back to atom, and the reason why, because you are requesting the parameter of this one. So let's say you change this to cake, and you change it to cake as well, and let's say you type in whatever, it will respond back with whatever you type in here. And we are going to use a lot of request parameters in later videos. So that's about it. In the next video, we're going to learn about middleware. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.